Thanks, everyone. Thanks, to FinDEVr for putting on a really great conference. I was telling Julie backstage, it's actually the first one I've been to, so it's been really, really cool. So I'm going to tell you a little bit about Enova, but really what I'm here to talk to you today about is Enova Decisions, which is a platform that we created for ourselves and are now offering to other companies around the world. So a little bit about Enova. As Julie mentioned, we are a little more than 12 years old. We're actually one of the original fintech companies in the world. We began with this kind of crazy idea that we could offer credit online, that we could collect enough information, and through really sophisticated analytics, we could figure out who was a good credit risk and who wasn't in real time, in the midst of that transaction on the web. From those humble beginnings, and it was really humble, it was like 10 people in a room in the suburbs of Chicago, we've grown into a very large public company that has operations in 6 different countries, and we have 11 brands. And one of those brands is Enova Decisions. So Enova Decisions is an analytics as a service platform. You'll note that unlike SaaS or OCR, I do not pronounce the analytics as a service acronym. You can probably guess why. Something we got to fix as an industry. But it is a platform for people to do their own analytics. As I mentioned, we actually built this for us. This is something that we created. It began with really the core of the company, is figuring out how to make data and analytics, in particular real-time analytics, a core part of everything we do. And that runs a gamut from the application process, so people applying for credit online, through underwriting. Obviously, understanding risk in the credit process is really important, particularly for us, because a lot of the products that we offer are geared toward the non-prime segment of the industry. Once we accept and we fund using analytics to work through banks and through the actual application of payments, and then finally for servicing. We really want to know that our customers are happy and we have really high customer satisfaction for our products. So we really want to know that that ongoing relationship is healthy as well. So these are all things that we built for our own lending products. And one of the things that we're particularly attuned to is how to create a really good customer experience. This is a very competitive market. Even though we work with a lot of underserved consumers, it's very competitive. And what will make that work and what will make customers come back is having really good customer experience. And part of the challenge here is we're now in a place where we have conditioned our customers and ourselves to expect everything instantly, right? So Amazon, you can order things, you can get it right away. They have same-day delivery now. I can be on my couch and think about ice cream, and I can go to Instacart, and it shows up in an hour. So that's the world we live in when it comes to lending as well. Our customers want that real-time experience. They don't want to apply for credit, whether it be for a loan or if they're buying a TV, and wait days to find out if they're going to get that credit. They want it at the point that they want to buy the thing or get the thing that they're looking for, if that's credit. So real-time decision-making is really critical. But real-time decision-making is not just about the initial point of purchase. It's also about how do you identify who are good customers to begin with. If you're working in an industry where you're connecting to customers, you know that you get a lot of leads. There are a lot of lead providers out there. There are a lot of different sources of potential customers. How do you know which ones are right and which ones aren't? How do you know that you're actually operating efficiently? How do you know that the way in which you go through and determine who those customers are and that you're taking care of them properly is driven by data and not just by anecdote? And then finally, how do you prevent fraud? We've gone from, particularly in this industry, we've gone from a place where we would sit across from our customers and be able to see them and look at their documentation to where we're talking to them through a screen of some kind, and we're getting electronic verification of who they are. So how do you know that they're a real person, a real customer, and not fraud? And the analytics helps drive all these things. So there are 3 big blockers when it comes to leveraging big data. And here's how you get past those. So overarching all of this is the fact that analytics is, and we're all, in working with customers, in the business of predicting the future. And as Niels Bohr said, prediction is really difficult, especially if you're trying to predict the future. So how do you get past this? Well, one of the challenges is we get a lot of data. The great thing about the connected world that we live in and the fact that people are providing information through all kinds of sources, and that information is available digitally, is that we have a lot of signals. We have a lot of insight, potentially, into those customers, whether it be at the lead, the prospect stage, or whether it be their existing customers and how healthy they and the relationship with us is. But that data is immense. There's a lot of different threads, and you have to put it together, and you have to put it together quickly. And you have to put it together without bias. That's important from a regulatory standpoint. It's also important just from a good decision-making standpoint. And humans just aren't good at that, but machines are. And so processing all those different threads in real time is one important thing to have in order to make this work. The second is, and this is why we created this as a platform for other companies to work with, it is really hard to build this. And it's really hard to build it in part because the talent to build a really good analytics platform is difficult to come by. I fully expected last night when I drove in from the airport from SFO that the cab driver was going to offer me a job at his tech startup, because that's kind of the nature of Silicon Valley, right? There's this huge competition for people and talent in this industry, people that really know what they're doing. And we've built that. Enova has built a really strong 200-person tech team, 50-person data science team that builds all of this technology and analytics that powers our platform. And then the third is just having that platform and having it work at scale. It's one thing to have something that will work through tens or even hundreds of customers, but what happens when you get to hundreds of thousands or even millions of customers? What happens if you work in a seasonal industry and all of your volume is compressed into 6 weeks of the year, for example? I used to work for FTD, and a good chunk of our business happened 2 weeks a year at Mother's Day and Valentine's Day. So how do you build a platform that actually scales to that? And that, too, is a hard problem to solve. And that's something that Enova, through the building of our company and through the growth of our company, has tackled. So how do you harness this data? How do you harness data and make for a really compelling consumer experience? Well, first of all, you need to have the expertise, which is the team that we've built at Enova. You need to have the ability to process all this data, and you need to actually do this in real time. The data models that we have, and I'll show you an architecture diagram in a moment, actually have the ability to consume up to 1,000 different data variables and process that to make these decisions. And that wealth of data, all those signals that I mentioned, as well as the ability to do it in real time, is really critical. So this is the architecture diagram, and I won't go deeply into this, but basically what we're doing is we're taking in all this different data. Some of it is historical data, some of it is data from third parties, some of it is data mandatory by regulation, and we're also putting these into models. These are models that we're building internally. Our data science team first starts with going through Mathematica and building out those models, and then we turn them into code. And these are things as a platform that we offer to our customers. So we will work with you either to take your existing models and adapt them, or to build a model from whole cloth and put it in production. We also do a lot of testing. So one of the key things that we do is make sure that the models are actually working. And one way to do that is to do retrospective testing, where we'll put a model in place and we'll say, if we took the last, say, 2 years of information and played it through the model, would we have had a better result or a worse result? And what would have been the differences? And we can do that with your data as well. And Enova Decisions is not just about decision making, but it's also about reporting. It's also about making sure that you have the dashboards, the regulatory reporting, the insights you need to know how well it is performing, and how your business is doing as a result of that. So we offer both the decision engine and the reporting engine as well. One of the things that we do too is we are a learning organization in our DNA. We make sure that we try something, we put it out there in a percentage of the traffic, we learn from that, we tweak it, we iterate, and we keep making it better and better. That's true of everything we do for ourselves, and it's true of everything that we do through Enova Decisions. So let me tell you 5 lessons that we learned the hard way. And we definitely have the scar tissue as a company to tell you that these are things we tried and stumbled and then we figured out. So one of the things that is really important going into it, and I know some of you know this from just working with other companies, is if you're working with a service provider, you want to make sure that the 2 implementation teams meet. Particularly if you're purchasing something like Enova Decisions, you want your tech team, your implementation team, to actually work with us as a vendor, to work with the people on the ground who are going to do that. Because those of you who are in tech know that nothing is more challenging than when the marketing folks come by and say, good news, we hired a vendor and they're here to help you, and you've never talked to them before. So you definitely want the teams to meet, to work with each other, understand how all that is going to happen. The second is do a paid pilot. Make sure that you're not just looking at the white paper, you're not just looking at other stats, but you're actually looking at your real environment. And we do this all the time. We do data studies. We work with customers to tell them with their actual data and their actual environment, this is how Enova Decisions will work. The third is to make sure that there are actual live use cases and example data. The data can be anonymized, so if there are sensitive things that you want to protect, it can be anonymized, but make sure that it's real data and these are real use cases. If you're an appliance store and one of your challenges is how do you sell big screen TVs and decide who gets store credit, make that a use case so that you can prove out whether or not this technology is going to work. And that needs to be part of the core of the implementation. Common language is really important. You need to make sure that everybody is talking about the same thing. And this isn't just from a tech standpoint, but this is also from a business standpoint, that you're talking about the same metrics, you're talking about the same goals, and you're talking about the same implementation under the hood, how it's all going to work. And then 5 is optimize. And this gets back to what I said earlier about Enova as a learning organization. Your implementation of analytics also needs to be a learning implementation. Version 1.0 of your implementation should just be the start, and it should grow as you get more familiarity with the platform, as we learn more about your business, and we can tune that to provide even greater business results for you. So that's a quick overview of Enova Decisions. Again, this is a platform that we built. And very much like Amazon, we built it for ourselves, and now we're offering it as a service to other companies. And those companies run the gamut from other online lenders to physical store locations. And all the examples that I've mentioned, from appliance stores to online lenders to universities with school loans, are all real live examples of companies that we're working with. So if you want to know more, I encourage you to come by. We have a booth here in the corner. I'm here with Sean Naismith from our Enova Decisions team. And certainly, if not here, reach out to us online. Our Twitter handles are out there. We've got cards in the booth as well, and we'd love to talk to you more about what we're doing with Enova Decisions. Thank you very much.